Good evening. This is All India Radio. I am Abhishek Mukhopadhyay and with me is Aditya Lumba with the evening news. The headlines. National interest to be of paramount importance in functioning of government, says Prime Minister Narendra Modi on BJP's Foundation Day. Parliament passes Criminal Procedure Identification Bill 2022 to authorize taking measurements of convicts for purposes of identification and investigation in criminal matters and to preserve records. Parliament passes Constitution Scheduled Tribes Order Amendment Bill 2022 to include Darlong Community of Tripura in list of STs. IMF lauds India's Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana program, which prevented extreme poverty in the country during the COVID-19 pandemic. India in touch with a few countries for completion of medical courses of students who were in Ukraine before crisis began, says External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar. Pakistan President asks Election Commission to propose dates for holding general elections within 90 days. Government accords in principle approval for 5 new sites for locating nuclear power plants. Ayush Ministry to celebrate Yoga Mahotsav on World Health Day at Red Fort, New Delhi tomorrow. Indian pugilists Ashish Kumar, Monica, Govind Sahani and Varinder Singh enter finals of the Thailand Open International Boxing Tournament in Phuket. And an IPL cricket match between Kolkata Knight Riders and Mumbai Indians underway in Pune. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has said national interest is of paramount importance in the functioning of the government. Addressing BJP party workers on the 42nd Foundation Day, Mr. Modi said the country has policy, intent and decisiveness.
इस अमृत काल में भारत की सोच आत्मनिर्भरता की है, लोकल को ग्लोबल बनाने की है, सामाजिक न्याय की है, समरसता की है। इन्हीं संकल्पों को लेकर एक विचारविद के रूप में हमारी पार्टी की स्थापना हुई थी। इसलिए ये अमृत काल भाजपा के हर एक कार्यकर्ता के लिए कर्तव्य काल है। हमें देश के संकल्पों के साथ निरंतर जुड़े रहना है, उनके लिए जीना है, उनके लिए जूझना है।
Mr. Modi said today the government not only sets goals but also achieves them. He said the country has recently achieved the highest ever goods exports of $400 billion. The Prime Minister said BJP's double-engine government came to power once again in 4 states. He said after 3 decades, a party has touched the mark of 100 members in the Rajya Sabha. Earlier, BJP National President J.P. Nadda hoisted the party flag at the party headquarters in Delhi. He also paid tributes to Dr. Shyama Prasad Mukherjee and Pandit Deendayal Upadhyay. Mr. Nadda inaugurated a blood donation camp at the party headquarters. On the occasion, he thanked party workers for their contributions.
कि हमारे ये करोड़ों कार्यकर्ताओं को प्रधानमंत्री मोदी जी के नेतृत्व में बताए गए रास्ते पर चलने के लिए ईश्वर शक्ति दे, ताकत दे, ताकि हम समाज में जो परिवर्तन लाते हुए देश को मजबूती की ओर ले जा रहे हैं, उसमें हमें ताकत मिले, हम उसको सही ढंग से पूरा कर सकें और आज स्थापना दिवस पर इस संकल्प को लेकर के हम चलें, ऐसी मैं ईश्वर से प्रार्थना करता हूं।
Home Minister Amit Shah said under the leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, the BJP is marching ahead with the welfare of the people and the progress of the nation. In a series of tweets, Mr. Shah said the party has worked for the fulfillment of the aspirations of the poor, farmers, downtrodden and women who faced deprivation for 7 decades. Parliament has passed the Criminal Procedure Identification Bill 2022 with Rajya Sabha approving it today. The House also rejected the amendments moved by the opposition to refer the bill to the Select Committee. As many as 59 members voted in the favour of the amendments, while 97 against it. Lok Sabha has already passed the bill. The bill seeks to authorize taking measurements of convicts and other persons for the purposes of identification and investigation in criminal matters and to preserve records. It provides for legal sanction for taking appropriate body measurements of persons who are required to give such measurements, which include finger impressions, palm print and footprint impressions, photographs, iris and retina scan, physical biological samples and analysis, among others. The legislation also empowers the National Crime Records Bureau of India to collect, store and preserve the record of measurements and for sharing, dissemination, destruction and disposal of records. The bill provides for empowering police or prison officers to take measurements of any person who resists or refuses to give measurements. The new legislation also replaces the Identification of Prisoners Act 1920. Replying to a debate on the Criminal Procedure Identification Bill 2022 in Rajya Sabha, Union Home Minister Amit Shah said that the only motive behind bringing the bill is to increase the conviction rates and limit the offence of crimes.
ये बिल लाने के पीछे मंशा एकमात्र मंशा है इस देश में गुनाहों के प्रमाण को कम किया जाए, इस देश में सजा के प्रमाण को बढ़ाया जाए और इस देश के कानून और व्यवस्था की स्थिति को सुधारा जाए और इस देश की आंतरिक सुरक्षा को सुदृढ़ किया।
Mr. Shah assured the House that the present bill in no way infringes upon the right to privacy or in violation of human right of individual. He assured that the Act as well as the rules framed under it both will strengthen the justice system which will help the law. The Home Minister added that the data of measurements will be kept with National Crime Records Bureau and will remain safe.
Parliament has passed the Constitution Scheduled Tribes Order Amendment Bill 2022 with Rajya Sabha approving it today. Lok Sabha had already passed the bill. The bill amends the Constitution Scheduled Tribes Order 1950 for inclusion of certain community in the list of scheduled tribes in Tripura. It includes the Dalong community as a sub-tribe of the Kuki tribe in the list of STs in Tripura. Union Minister of State for Atomic Energy and Space, Dr. Jitendra Singh, has said that the government has accorded in-principle approval for 5 new sites for locating nuclear power plants in future. In a written reply to a question in Lok Sabha today, Dr. Jitendra Singh said the government has accorded administrative approval and financial sanction for construction of 10 indigenous 700 megawatt pressurized heavy water reactors, PHWRs, to be set up in a fleet mode. He said on progressive completion of the projects under construction and accorded sanction, the nuclear capacity is expected to reach 22,480 megawatt by 2031. Indian Space Research Organizations, ISRO's commercial arms, have earned a total foreign exchange revenue of $56 million and 190 million euros through launching of satellites from 34 countries as on date. This is stated by the Minister of State in the Ministry of Personnel, Public Grievances and Pension, and the Prime Minister's Office, Dr. Jitendra Singh, in a written reply in Lok Sabha today.
External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar today said the country is in touch with a few countries for the completion of the medical courses of the students who were studying in Ukraine before the crisis began. Replying to the Ukraine issue in Lok Sabha, the minister said that Hungary has offered to complete the medical course of students and the ministry is in talks with other countries, including Poland, Romania, Czech Republic and Kazakhstan. Lok Sabha today passed the Weapons of Mass Destruction and the Delivery Systems Prohibition of Unlawful Activities Amendment Bill 2022 with a voice vote. The bill moved by External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar amends the Weapons of Mass Destruction and the Delivery Systems Prohibition of Unlawful Activities Act 2005.
This is All India Radio giving you the news. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle at AIR News Alerts.
कॉम्पिटिटिव एग्जाम्स की तैयारी कर रहे परीक्षार्थियों के लिए एक विशेष कार्यक्रम अभ्यास। आपके होंगे सवाल और हमारे विशेषज्ञ देंगे उसका जवाब। आप अपने सवाल रिकॉर्ड कर हमें भेजें व्हाट्सएप नंबर 9289094044 पर या फिर ईमेल करें abhyas.airnews@gmail.com पर। आपका अभ्यास हमारा प्रयास।
FSSAI has launched Food Safety Connect app for food business operators and consumers. Download this app from Google Play Store and easily apply for FSSAI registration. Consumer can use this app to register food-related complaints.
Now, here's the review of proceedings in Parliament today. First, from the Rajya Sabha, writers Kumar Rahul of the PTI. Parliament today passed the Criminal Procedure Identification Bill and the Constitution Scheduled Tribes Order Amendment Bill 2022, with the Rajya Sabha approving them today by voice vote. Replying to a debate on the Criminal Procedure Identification Bill in the Rajya Sabha, Home Minister Amit Shah allayed apprehensions raised by the opposition, which claimed that the draft law was draconian. He said that the data collected will remain completely secure and the government will make sure there are no loopholes in the bill that can lead to the violation of privacy and human rights. Taking a dig at the opposition, Mr. Shah said that none of the members said that the conviction rates in this country is low and should be increased. He said under the present criminal justice system, the percentage of convictions is very low. According to the minister, 66 out of 100 people in murder case gets acquittal, while under the present system, 66 people under 100 are acquitted, while in cases of dacoity, 70 people out of 100 are acquitted. In the crime against children, 62 out of 100 get acquitted. He mentioned that in countries like South Africa, the conviction rate is 82%, while in the UK it is 84% and 64% in Canada. In Australia, the conviction rate is 97% and the US it is 93%, Shah added. Congress leader P. Chidambaram termed it as unconstitutional and favoured sending the bill to a select committee for further deliberations before it is passed. BJP's Mahesh Jethmalani refuted Chidambaram's allegations, saying advanced technological improvements and particularly the use of biometrics, considered the gold standard for investigation of crimes and for detection of criminals, are now used worldwide. Binoy Vishwam of the CPI, Sanjay Singh AAP, Fauzia Khan of NCP, Sanjay Rawat of Shiv Sena, Abdul Wahab of the Indian Union Muslim League, Sukhendu Shekhar Rao of the Trinamool Congress, A.D. Singh of the RJD, Tiruchi Siva of the DMK, Sujit Kumar of the Biju Janata Dal, and Ram Gopal Yadav SP opposed the bill. Brijlal of BJP, G.K. Vasan of Tamil Manila Congress, Ramnath Thakur, JDU, V. Vijay Sai Reddy of YSR-CP, and A. Navaneet Krishnan, AIA DMK supported the bill, saying it would help in improving conviction rate in the country.
And now a review of the proceedings in Lok Sabha. Writer is Achintya Bora of PTI. The Weapons of Mass Destruction and the Delivery Systems Prohibition of Unlawful Activities Amendment Bill would seek to ban funding of weapons of mass destruction and also empower the centre to freeze, seize or attach financial assets and economic resources of people engaged in such activities was passed by Lok Sabha today. Responding to a discussion on the bill, External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar said the passage of the amendment bill will strengthen India's national security and its global position. The House passed the bill by a voice vote with members expressing unanimity that such a measure was the need of the hour. The Weapons of Mass Destruction and the Delivery Systems Prohibition of Unlawful Activities Act, passed in 2005, only banned manufacture of weapons of mass destruction. The minister said the bill has been brought in the national interest, global interest and to strengthen India's credentials and image. The existing Act, Weapons of Mass Destruction and the Delivery Systems Prohibition of Unlawful Activities Act 2005, does not cover the financial aspect of WMD delivery systems, and the inclusion of new provisions was essential to meet India's international obligations, he said. Earlier, raising concerns over the dangers of weapons of mass destruction, members across party lines supported the bill that seeks to prohibit the financing of such weapons. Initiating the discussion, Uttam Reddy of Congress proposed that the bill, which speaks about an individual who finances weapons of mass destruction, should consider replacing the individual with organizations and countries. A. Raja of DMK recalled India's role in the domain of disarmament. Rajyavardhan Singh Rathore of BJP said that the amendment has been brought by the government to secure the country. Participating in the debate, Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary of Congress said, one after another people have left India after looting the banks and nothing has been done against them. E.T. Mohammad Bashir of IUML, N.K. Premachandran of RSP, P. Ravindranath of AIA-DMK, Hanuman Beniwal of the RLP and Kuwar Danish Ali of BSP, among others, who also participated in the discussion. External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar today said in Lok Sabha that if India has chosen a side, it is the side of peace and for an immediate end to violence, and made it clear that New Delhi is strongly against Russia-Ukraine conflict. Replying to the discussion on the situation in Ukraine, Jaishankar said India was the first country to evacuate its citizens and served as an inspiration to others. He said India encourages talks between Ukraine and Russia, including at the level of their presidents, and asserted that if New Delhi can be of any assistance in this matter, it would be glad to contribute. Talking about the civilian killings in the Ukrainian city of Bucha, Jaishankar said India is deeply disturbed by the reports. Jaishankar also said that attributing a political color to India's actions vis-a-vis Ukraine situation was unfortunate. Rebutting criticism that the government's action in the matter were guided by assembly polls in 5 states, Jaishankar said the Prime Minister in the middle of an election campaign came back to supervise the overall evacuation. Elaborating on India's national strategy vis-a-vis the Ukraine situation, he said that in terms of diplomacy, India continues to press forcefully for an immediate cessation of hostilities and an end to violence. Noting that the ground situation calls for an urgent humanitarian relief, he said India has already provided 90 tons of relief material and did so even while we were in the middle of an evacuation. He also hailed the role played by the 4 ministers, Jyotiraditya Scindia, Hardeep Singh Puri, Kiren Rijiju and General Retired V.K. Singh, who had gone to the countries neighbouring Ukraine, saying India would not have got same level of cooperation had it not been there for their presence. The way to deal with the new world order is Atmanirbhar Bharat. Atmanirbhar Bharat is not just an economic policy. Atmanirbhar Bharat is a Bharat which looks after its people, a Bharat which is capable of running Operation Ganga. Dean Kuriakose of Congress asked the government to roll back the price hike of over 10% effected on some life-saving essential medicines. Telecom Minister Ashwini Vaishnaw said the indigenous 4G telecom network will soon be rolled out across India, with the BSNL planning to install about 1.12 lakh towers throughout the country. He also said the internet connection inside trains can be available only when the 5G network will be rolled out, as communications get disrupted with 4G technology in trains running with a speed of 100 kilometers per hour. The minister said the BSNL is in process of ordering 6,000 towers immediately and then 6,000 more and finally 1 lakh to be installed all over the country for the 4G network. Asked about the availability of 4G internet service in trains, he said if a train is running more than 100 kilometers speed, we need a 5G network. Railway Minister Ashwini Vaishnaw said the Indian Railways is making efforts to make more over bridges rather than road under bridges, as problems like waterlogging are a common phenomenon in underground projects. The minister said that as far as possible, railways are converting RUBs into overbridges, even though the cost of an overbridge is much higher. Railways' effort is to make overbridges rather than road under bridges, as waterlogging is a common phenomenon, especially in remote areas, he said. That's all in the Parliament Review.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi has thanked all members of Parliament MPs who enriched the discussion in Parliament on the situation in Ukraine and India's efforts to bring back her citizens through Operation Ganga with their views. In a tweet, Mr. Modi said, over the last few days, Parliament has witnessed a healthy discussion on the situation in Ukraine and India's efforts to bring back her citizens through Operation Ganga. He said the rich level of debate and the constructive points illustrate how there is bipartisanship when it comes to matters of foreign policy. Then Prime Minister said bipartisanship augurs well for India at the world stage. He said it is a collective duty to care for the safety and well-being of our fellow citizens, and the Government of India will leave no stone unturned to ensure our people do not face any troubles in adverse situations. This is All India Radio giving you the news.
अपने बिजनेस को बढ़ाने के लिए लीजिए आकाशवाणी का सहयोग और दीजिए उसे बुलंदियों के पंख।
आपका बिजनेस लोकल है या राष्ट्रीय, आकाशवाणी देती है उपभोक्ताओं तक पहुंचने का हर विकल्प।
और अब तो आप घर, दफ्तर या दुकान पर बैठे बैठे कर सकते हैं आकाशवाणी के किसी भी केंद्र के लिए विज्ञापनों की बुकिंग।
आकाशवाणी के विभिन्न चैनलों पर विज्ञापन देना सुलभ और सस्ता।
बुकिंग हेतु संपर्क करें 8700014242 पर।
8700014242।
The President today visited the Dutch Parliament and held meetings with the Prime Minister of Netherlands, Mark Rutte. Several members of the Senate, Upper House and the House of Representatives, Lower House of the Dutch Parliament, including President of the Senate, Mr. Jan Anthony Bruijn, and President of the House of Representatives, Ms. Vera Bergkamp, were also present at the meeting. Later in the day, President Ramnath Kovind will meet members of the Indian community in Netherlands. In the evening, as part of 75 years of India's independence celebrations, Azadi Kamrit Mahotsav, President Ramnath Kovind will be hosting a cultural performance to be graced by King Willem-Alexander and Queen Maxima of Netherlands. This will be performed by Kala Kshetra Foundation. The 35-member troupe will enact a piece from the Ramayana. In another major step to achieve Atmanirbhar Bharat, the Ministry of Defence is coming out with the third positive indigenization list tomorrow. Raksha Mantri Rajnath Singh will release the list in New Delhi. The third list, comprising major equipment of platforms which are scheduled to be completely indigenized by December 2025. This third list builds on the first list of 101 items and the second list of 108 items that were promulgated on the 21st of August 2020 and the 31st of May 2021.
Raksha Mantri Rajnath Singh today inaugurated a 3-day Air Force Commanders Conference at Air Headquarters in New Delhi. The conference was attended by Minister of State for Defence Ajay Bhatt and Defence Secretary Dr. Ajay Kumar, along with senior commanders of the Indian Air Force. Speaking on the occasion, the Raksha Mantri praised the Indian Air Force's evacuation effort in Operation Ganga, which has been appreciated by the country. He brought out that the current geopolitical situation has again highlighted the need for indigenization. Exports of agricultural products, including marine, for the year 2021-22 have crossed the $50 billion mark, which is the highest level ever achieved in it. The Commerce and Industry Ministry, in a statement today, said, as per the provisional figures released by Directorate General of Commercial Intelligence and Statistics, DGCIS, the agricultural exports have grown by 19.92% during 2021-22. This achievement over the past 2 years will go a long way in realizing the Prime Minister's vision of improving farmers' income. The International Monetary Fund, IMF, has lauded India's food subsidy program, which prevented the increased prevalence of extreme poverty in the country during COVID-19. In a report, the IMF has said the expansion of food transfers and subsidies make it an important instrument for poverty alleviation. Appreciation, the Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana, the IMF report demonstrated that the program provided insurance to the poor and prevented an increase in the prevalence of extreme poverty in the country.
Jal Shakti Minister Gajendra Singh Shekhawat today launched the digital dashboard for District Ganga Committee's performance monitoring system. In his address, Mr. Shekhawat stated that the digital dashboard launched will help the District Ganga Committees, DGCs, in enhancing people-river connect. Pointing out that some DGCs are not conducting regular meeting, he urged the district magistrates to make sure that Ganga cleaning becomes a priority, and under the chairmanship of district magistrates, cleanliness in River Ganga is ensured. The Union government, in its objective to give a push to Jal Jeevan Mission in Jammu and Kashmir, has allocated a whopping sum of Rs 9,289 crore to the UT under Jal Jeevan Mission 2022-23, which is nearly more than double to its previous year budget. A Jammu correspondent reports this substantial increase in JJM budget every year is reflective of the concern and seriousness of the government towards materializing its commitment of providing tap water connections to every household and capacity building of water quality management through testing, monitoring and surveillance.
The substantial increase in Jal Jeevan Mission budget every year is reflective of the concern and seriousness of the Union and J&K UT governments towards materializing its commitment of providing tap water connections to every household and capacity building of water quality management through testing, monitoring and surveillance. The Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir contemplates to become Har Ghar Jal Union Territory by the financial year 2022-23. Out of total 18.35 lakh rural households in the Union Territory, 10.39 lakh, that means 57% households have tap water connections. As on date, 22,421 schools, that means 100%, and 23,926, that means 100% Anganwadi centers in J&K have been provided with tap water. R.K. Rana, AR News, Jammu.
Education and Skill Development Minister Dharmendra Pradhan has said that the next 25 years are the most crucial for India's developmental journey. Delivering the keynote address at the India Education Summit 2022 today in New Delhi, Mr. Pradhan said, in line with the NEP 2020, we all need to work collectively to ensure that our students turn into global citizens and lead India and the world to an empowered future. In Pakistan, the President's Secretariat has asked Election Commission to propose dates for holding general elections within 90 days from the state of dissolution of the National Assembly. The Ayush Ministry will celebrate Yoga Mahotsav on the World Health Day at Red Fort in New Delhi tomorrow. Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla and several union ministers will demonstrate common yoga protocol on 75th day of countdown of International Day of Yoga. During the event, members of parliament, ambassadors of various countries, prominent sports celebrities and yoga gurus will also participate.
More than 185 crore 4 lakh COVID vaccine doses have been administered in the country so far under the nationwide vaccination drive. The Health Ministry said India's active case load currently stands at 11,871 and it is 0.03%. The recovery rate is currently at 98.76%. Government sources today denied the reports of detection of new COVID-19 variant XE in Mumbai. The sources said present evidence does not suggest that XE variant FASTQ files of the sample which has been said to be XE variant was analyzed by Indian SARS-CoV-2 Genomics Consortium, INSACOG genomic experts who inferred that the genomic constitution of this variant doesn't correlate with genomic picture of XE variant. The ministry's rebuttal came shortly after the Brihan Mumbai Municipal Corporation BMC claimed that the XE variant was detected in the city during the genome sequencing of samples. The News Services Division of All India Radio in its daily program Spotlight will broadcast an exclusive interview with Professor M. Jagdish Kumar, UGC Chairman, on the Common University Entrance Test. This interview can be heard in a Spotlight program on FM Gold channel and additional frequencies from 9:15 p.m. This program will also be available on the website newsonair.com and on a YouTube channel, News on AIR Official.
In boxing, Indian boxers Ashish Kumar, Monica, Govind Sahani and Varinder Singh entered the finals of the Thailand Open International Boxing Tournament in Phuket today. In the IPL cricket, Mumbai Indians were 115 for 3 in 17 overs against Kolkata Knight Riders at the Maharashtra Cricket Association Stadium in Pune when reports last came in. Earlier, Kolkata Knight Riders captain Shreyash Iyer won the toss and elected to field.
Now let us take a look at the weather update for tomorrow. The national capital Delhi will have heat wave. The minimum temperature will be around 20 degrees Celsius, while the maximum is expected to be around 41 degrees Celsius. Mumbai is expected to have mainly clear sky, becoming partly cloudy towards afternoon or evening. The minimum temperature will be 26 degrees Celsius, while the maximum is expected to be around 34 degrees. Chennai is likely to have partly cloudy sky. The minimum temperature will be 26 degrees and the maximum temperature is expected to be around 34 degrees. Kolkata is likely to have partly cloudy sky. The minimum temperature will be 26 degrees Celsius and the maximum will be around 35 degrees. Srinagar is expected to have mainly clear sky. The minimum temperature will be 8 degrees Celsius while the maximum is expected to be around 27 degrees. Jammu is expected to have mainly clear sky. The minimum temperature will be 20 degrees Celsius while the maximum will be around 36 degrees. Leh, Gilgit, Muzaffarabad are likely to have mainly clear sky. Hyderabad is expected to have partly cloudy sky with possibility of rain or thunderstorm. Bangalore and Visakhapatnam will experience partly cloudy sky. Thiruvananthapuram is expected to have partly cloudy sky. Puducherry is likely to have generally cloudy sky with possibility of rain. Guwahati, Imphal and Shillong will have generally cloudy sky with 1 or 2 spells of rain or thunder showers. And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. National interest to be of paramount importance in functioning of government, says Prime Minister Narendra Modi on BJP's Foundation Day. Parliament passes Criminal Procedure Identification Bill 2022 to authorize taking measurements of convicts for purposes of identification and investigation in criminal matters and to preserve records. Parliament passes Constitution Scheduled Tribes Order Amendment Bill 2022 to include Darlong Community of Tripura in list of STs. IMF lauds India's Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana program, which prevented extreme poverty in the country during the COVID-19 pandemic. India in touch with few countries for completion of medical courses of students who were in Ukraine before crisis began, says External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar. Pakistan President asks Election Commission to propose dates for holding general elections within 90 days. Government accords in principle approval for 5 new sites for locating nuclear power plants. Ayush Ministry to celebrate Yoga Mahotsav on World Health Day at the Red Fort in New Delhi tomorrow. Indian pugilists Ashish Kumar, Monica, Govind Sahani and Varinder Singh enter finals of the Thailand Open International Boxing Tournament in Phuket. And an IPL cricket match between Kolkata Knight Riders and Mumbai Indians underway in Pune. And with that we end the evening news. Good night.